Well, what's poppin', familia? Happy Saturday. I appreciate you guys tuning in and jamming for that last song. You know what I'm saying? It definitely be picking up towards the end and it's vibe. Anyways, it's good to see y'all. I'm excited for the discussion because this one is honestly, I enjoy when we have a good amount of information that we all had to individually read and then come together on because everybody's got different perspectives. Everybody's got different things and situations going on in your current environment and your circumstances. And honestly, when you go and read these four chapters, 6, 7, 8, and 9, when you spend that intentional time and then you come and communicate about it, you cement it within your conscious mind, but you also influence your subconscious mind. And that's why people be repeating the same things over and over again, so that that influence on the subconscious becomes more permanent than actually mild and like non-consistent. So I'm excited to hear all y'all's perspectives within the book that we're reading, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by Mr. John C. Maxwell. And I think Miss Amber Tellez, PC herself, is gonna kick us off. I appreciate you, girl. Go on ahead. Unless you're
What's
moving and grooving. It's up to you.
no, I'm good. What's up, guys? Can you hear me? Cool. Okay, so let's talk about the first two chapters. It was chapter 6. It was called The Law of the Environment. Yes. Okay, so the Law of the Environment was really, really good. I really loved that. I love that reminder. I loved just how important it is because it really is. I know one thing that he said in there is basically like if you don't like your environment's going to really affect your growth and your like ability to grow. And I really really feel that like who you surround yourself with, what kind of environment you have around you 100% affects your growth, and it affects just everything, like your psyche, you know. And I even think like when it comes down like just to like our apartments, that's why I think that like where we live, you know, having a clean environment is very very important. You know, having an opulent environment, like making sure the stuff around you looks good, feels good, you know, is in like the best shape, is really good. And then of course the people that are around you and the kind of environments that we're allowing ourselves to be a part of, you know, and having standards for those environments. And like it said in the chapter, like making sure those environments like encourage growth, are safe. And of course, it's up to the leaders in there to maintain those standards or maintain that type of environment. And I believe that every single one of us are leaders, and every single one of us have a responsibility towards our environments and towards our communities to uphold those standards and have no tolerance for anything other than that, you know, and like really just making sure that we are all moving forward. And if there's something, you know, happening within an organization, within an environment that isn't consistent with what it is that we say that we want, like having the courage to say something about that. Like Rose Cheesy the other night on the Powerful Creator call, I loved it so much because she had called out something that's very, very important in this community and any community, especially in the Powerful Creator community, is like complaining and having like a negative environment. Like I think on one of the calls, that was the vibe. And she had just said it. She was like, everyone has just been complaining on this call like over and over and over and over again. And I loved it. I was like, it's true. That's what was happening. You know, and of course it like probably ruffled some feathers, but it's important to call that out. You know what I mean? Because we have to be able to do that. It's a safe space, you know, like it's a safe space. And like we are all responsible for maintaining the vibration of our environments and of our spaces. One of the main things that this chapter reminded me of was really just how important like our conversations are with the people that we talk to. Like literally you can have like an evening, right, where you're just with yourself and you can do whatever. Who you talk to literally can influence whether like the vibration of your evening. And so like if you're talking to somebody who has something to talk about, they're just like full of chaos, they just have all this stuff going on, they're just like complaining and they're just like talking about random stories, random bullshit, like that that's what your evening is going to be if you decide to talk to them, right? Or if you decide to call somebody else, and based on that conversation you can be up full of ideas, moving around, like talking, you know, like really creating something, really like setting the tone. And I really think that it's like important for us to analyze like how we feel after we're done having certain conversations, after we're done hanging out with certain people. I think that goes back to one of the laws that we talked about earlier when I think it was like the law of your inner circle or like the people around us. Um, but yeah, your environment's really, really important. So I know one thing that I'm being very, very effective in, or I think it's effective, intentional about is making sure that I'm around people who make a lot more money than me. That's for sure. Um, and in integrity and specifically like really like powerful, financially literate women who are, creating their own environments, creating their own communities, really have it going on and like things that I can learn from like really effective, like intentional environments. And so one of the things that I'm doing to do that is really like putting myself in that environment, like literally going to networking events, going to other people's places and I think this is really important when we're creating, like all of us are creating like a new life, right? And I think all of us know this, but it's really, really important for us to keep remembering that when we want something from someone or even like from the world, it's about what we give, you know? So if there is somebody that you want to be around, instead of like saying like, oh, I want them to talk to me, I want them to call me, I want them to come over here, hang out with me. It's like, no, like what can you give? What can you do to put yourself around them? Like today, I'm hosting a powerful creator social. We're going tubing here in San Marcos. And this literally started because one of the members in the community, her name is Michelle, and she's somebody that I like know that I can learn from. I've always like looked up to her ever since that I've met her. And being around her, like hanging out with her, isn't easy because she's busy, I'm busy, we're all busy. And so like in the past like 2 3 years, I can literally count on my hands like how many times I've hung out with her. But instead of being like, oh, like she doesn't want to hang out with me or she's not coming over here, or like every time we talk, it's just like all over the place that we just can't like figure it out and maybe like we're not supposed to. I'm like, no, like I see value in hanging out with her. So I'm gonna go over there and do what I gotta do. And like this is the one day that we could do something. And so we're doing it, like we're all coming together to spend some time together and being intentional about what we're going to do on our Saturdays. Because I could just do what I regularly do, like hang out with my family or just hang out with whoever. But it's like, no, like we have to intentionally create the environments that we want to be around. And this morning is one of those mornings. We're going tubing. It's me, Michelle, Deborah, like another powerful creator member, and then Nicole, another powerful creator member. And we're going to have like a really good morning full of like fun conversations and stuff. So that is that environment is everything. And make sure it's clean. And then the next one was, don't remind me, the law of design. So I really, really like this one. I really like John C. Maxwell and how like thorough he is because I really feel like reading these books, it makes you more aware of what we didn't, I don't know, I guess it just makes us feel like we're not alone in certain things and like like we didn't know those were actually things like I don't know, it just like called out stuff. And so for me, basically in that chapter, he talks about like having systems um to create your life like by design. And I love systems. And I feel like, as like leaders, we all love systems. Like they really like save you time, energy, and money. Um, and yeah, that's really what I got was just like having really good operating systems in your life that support the life that you actually want. And so of course that starts off with knowing what kind of life that you want and like maintaining that belief for what it is. And I think that of course all of us should be intentional about designing our lives and creating systems that support that design. And before we can create those systems, we have to be crystal clear on what it is that we want. And a lot of times I think in this journey, it's hard for us to know what we want because like we're the first ones, like we're the first ones in our family, we're the first ones in our generation. So a lot of us don't know what that looks like firsthand. We don't have the examples like right in front of us to be like what it is look like to live in luxury, to be completely financially free, to live that life. And so we got to go out there, right? We got to get in the room. We have to do what we need to do to put ourselves in the environment of what it is that we want, of the life that we want, and get bits and pieces of it, you know? Because one thing that I definitely learned is that we are on the journey, we are on the way. And so the opportunities that we want are going to come and we have to be ready for it. Like instead of doing all this work to make money. We're not doing that. We are learning how to manage it because it's coming. Like our vibration is racing, is raising. We are setting up the systems. We are giving. We all have a vehicle, and so if we're not ready for it to come, then when it comes, we're not going to be ready for it. And we're not going to be able to handle it. So really understanding like getting specific on the things that you want. Like what is your dream car? What does your dream house actually look like? What are the details, Because one day we're going to find ourselves having to make those decisions. And you want to be ready for it. You want to know like what kind of life am I actually designing? And that was something that this like chapter got me thinking about this morning was like just really like us as leaders really getting clear on that vision and making sure that we're consistently articulating it over and over and over and over again. Like it's our duty to speak that vision over and over and over again and um maintain the vibration of that vision, the belief of that vision, and make sure that we are increasing our belief in it as well. So we can speak it, so we can be excited about it because we're all going somewhere. We're not just doing this because we just like to hang out on Saturday mornings. Like we are literally going somewhere. And so this morning in my reflection time, law of reflection, I was just asking that question. Like I was asking God to show me more of what that vision is so I can articulate it more and more so I could be more crystal clear. So I was asking for, to like heighten my imagination so I can really see and feel like this promised land that we're creating for ourselves, like the heaven on earth that we're building, that we're experiencing here. So that's what I got from these past two chapters. Love y'all so much. Thanks for allowing me to go first. I'm going to click on Jason.
Going on. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm gonna start in chapter 6 of the 33% rule. The bottom third, the middle third, and the top third of people, right? And the reason why I want to start with that is because for a majority of my life, I was literally the bottom third of people. I was literally the bottom third of people, and it's the ones that suck the life out of you because nothing is ever good enough for them. They take energy and motivation out of the environment. And it was hard for me to swallow that pill, but then I realized that like you really are a product of your environment. And as long as you allow that to be true, it will be true. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I went to the military and I noticed that like Seguin, Texas is not the whole world. You know what I mean? And sometimes it takes you to leave where you're at before you'll ever have any type of real breakthrough. If you only stay in your own small pond, like the law of the lid, when he talks about with that pumpkin or something, when you put it inside a thing, if you only can expand yourself to that 25 square miles of your city, I feel bad for you. And I'm sorry because like you're always going to be contained to a small environment. You're going to be a really big shark swimming in a creek. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you possess. If you don't share it with people that are on the same frequency as you, they're going to look at you probably the same way they looked at John the Baptist, like a crazy individual. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Because they just cannot comprehend what you're putting in front of them, right? And then there's the middle third, are the happy and positive when things are going well, but downs and times of adversity. Shout out TGF, Marcus and Mikkel especially. There are many times where I've been going through adversity and I've been like not the best person you want to talk to all the time. But we have brothers that are like, yo, check this out. CYP, right, Marcus? Let me change your perspective real quick. Mikhail, let's not take this too personal. Like there are things and people that you surround yourself with that are going to help you take you to the next level or are going to keep you in the bottom third, right? Now, what I'm trying to do as a top third, maintain a positive attitude even in tough time. There are leaders, influencers, and game changers. Those are the kinds of people we should try to be, and those are the kind of people we should spend our time with. These are the people I'm trying to spend my time with. People like y'all, people who are hopping on this call because they want to do better. It doesn't mean that you're going to change over this past week, even next week, or even next month. You know what I mean? But the fact that y'all are here and y'all are spending time to try to develop something that people completely ignored. The only thing that they're trying to develop is their car, their house, and their wallets. And nobody's trying to develop the thing between their ears. And that's where, like, if it doesn't matter if I give you $1 million, if you didn't know how to develop a mindset to handle $1 million, thank you. I'm gonna have it right back. So it's important how we keep ourselves in our environment with the people that we are, and keep in tune with what you're actually learning when you're in that environment, right? And it takes me to focus on the moment, right? It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, and it doesn't matter what's happening tomorrow. It really don't, because tomorrow's not promised. It talks about in the Bible, tomorrow is not promised. Yesterday cannot be changed. But right now, in this moment, the changes we want to make in our lives comes only in the present. What we do now controls who we become and who we are in the future. You can only live in the moment you're in. So tell me so to me, that's always the happiest moment. Whenever that mother said that, it was mind blowing. Your present moment will always be your happiest moment. You want to know why? Because I'm pretty sure you can think about a time in the past where, like, I would never go back to that. And I'm pretty sure you can make yourself anxious thinking about the future, and you're like, why am I thinking about that? You see how the present is literally a gift wrap? Because it's the only time that you can truly find peace. Because it's the only time that you can truly think and make a decision that can actually make a difference. You can't do that in the past or future because you don't know what is really there. You know what I mean? But that's what I got for chapter 6, the law of design. I should have taken charge of my life and set my goals earlier. Life isn't practice; it's the real thing. And people forget to people like I think that y'all forget that we really do only have this one time. It's the real thing. Once, one time. And every single time you wake up is just grace. It's mercy, but it's the continuous life that we have. And it's real. So surround yourself with real people, some real challenges, some real goals that are going to push you to be better, not just for yourself, but for others, right? As you develop strategies for growth, give yourself the time, the resources you need, whatever amount seem reasonable, multiply them by 2. I love this. Multiply them by 2. That practice will help you keep you from becoming discouraged and giving up too soon. Me and Mateo were talking about passing these phases and stuff and getting through these things. And I'm a very optimistic person. I'm like, yeah, we all gonna be done with phase 2 Sunday, tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like this is just how it's gonna be. And he was like, I was like, imagine. He was like, it's kind of the dark side. And I was like, bro, meditation, imagination, bro. That's how you get there. If you can't even picture what your life is gonna be, what you're never gonna have it. You have to be able to put yourself in that mindset. You know what I mean? And yes, it's not going to happen overnight, but that shouldn't discourage you. Give yourself 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights. Double up on yourself. If you truly know you can if you can accomplish it in 6 months, put it out a year. Only because when 6 months comes and you're not done yet, you're not discouraged. And you're not going to stop yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of when I was in the military, my MOS was like the hardest to actually get ranked up, right? I'm talking about it didn't matter what your timing grade was. It doesn't matter how well you performed. It didn't matter how many books you read or anything like that. You would literally have to go above and beyond to get ranked up, right? But then, I would also look at other people in other positions. And I'm like, how did you even get there, bro? You see what I mean? Like, how did you even get there if I'm the one that's making these progress and these steps and things like that? How did you get there? I had to do that. I have to do that self-reflection of understanding that, like, there's things that you're not going to see that people do. And there's things that you are going to see that people do. And sometimes what you think you deserve is not what you deserve at all. And that's a tough pill to swallow, bro. I have to tell myself that I've always been good at things my whole life. I've always like performed well, as you can see, like athlete, sports, bro. I can play all sports. You know what I'm saying? Like books, I could read. You know what I'm saying? Multiplication, I'm good at it. Science, let's run it. Physics, let's do it. Like I just always been overall good. So when I find myself in challenges, it's really easy for me to go right back to that environment of like sucking the life out of things simply because I'm challenged in a way that my intellect hasn't yet been fulfilled. Does that make sense? So don't be too hard on yourselves whenever you're seeing people accomplish goals faster than you did. Because 10,000 hours is still 10,000 hours. And until you put it in, you can't really count it a bucket yet. Right. So let's go. This one that takes you to straight to chapter 8, the law of pain. Every problem introduces a person to himself. We talk about it a lot on the charts. Everything that we go through is probably because God needs you to grow in that area. And it took a lot of self-reflection of like, this person has an attitude, or are you the person with the attitude? Am I being too direct, or are you not being direct enough? You know, it's always that equal and opposite reaction of how you're gonna deal with something personally before it comes like community. Because if you don't know how to do things personally and deal with things internally personally, you will bring that same cancer into the community. Something that Amber was talking about. Like it's important to have these uncomfortable conversations. I don't know if y'all saw my last reel, but right here, TGF and what we're doing in this community, like we welcome growth, yes, but like we also demand it in a way. You see what I mean? Like we have responsibilities. You have things you got to do in order to get things accomplished. But at the same time, us as leaders, we got to do our own thing and accomplish our own things for our households, but we still need to be able to manage our time to be here for one another. You see what I mean? That's that constant servant leadership. And in order to do that, first, you need to go through this thing called pain. That's the only thing that's gonna like truly help you grow. And pain is not always physical, it's not always mental, it's not always spiritual. But what you focus on will grow, right? No one likes it when they're in the middle of a bad experience. It's usually just painful. But if they manage the experience well, they will enjoy talking about it afterwards. It becomes a great war story. How many times have y'all been through something so crazy in the moment and you're like, I can't believe my life is like this right now. I would do anything just to go back 15 minutes ago till I didn't even know what was going on. You know what I mean? And then like a year passes by and you're joking about it. 2 years goes by and you're joking about it. That's what I mean. When something goes so wrong, why can't you have that same energy a year and just put it in present moment? Like, yo, that is so crazy. I can't believe that happened. Blew a tire. Yo, I blew a tire. Like, oh man, that it sucks. But at the same time, it's a funny moment if you can actually be optimistic in your head about it. Understand that life is always going to be throwing curveballs. Life will throw the craziest curveballs, left-handed, slinging it, but it's how you react to it, right? That pain of conflict. If y'all haven't got to this part right here where it talks about like the pain of disappointment, the pain of conflict, look at how he experiences. He says, I learned through this. I immediately, it helped. I learned through all these things. He found a different way to deal with that conflict, that disappointment, that change, that decision, that financial loss, that relationship loss, not being the most important person in the room, right? The pain of traveling, being around, the pain of responsibility. There is pains everywhere in your life. And it's kind of like whenever you get a bruise, when you get pushed on, which pain is going to make you react? Because that's going to be the one that God pushes. Because he doesn't want you to be a sitting duck. He doesn't want you to be a fish in a barrel. So he's going to give you that nudge out of love, though. And you have to realize us as brothers and sisters, we are going to push you. We are going to give you that nudge. It is going to hurt. It is going to feel like we're on your back. But it's because what you said and your goals and stuff, we want you to actually accomplish them. And if we didn't, then we wouldn't even tell you about them. We wouldn't remind you of them. We wouldn't tell you to be here. You see what I mean? And to close it off, my favorite, my this was the part that really got me. It was like the English philosopher and the founder of the Pennsylvania province will encourage you. No pain, no palm. No thorns, no throne. No gall, no glory, no cross, no crown. And if y'all don't understand what that means, go read your Bible. All right. So that's good for me. I'm gonna go ahead and popcorn this bad boy. Let's go with Imani.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jason, for that lovely TED Talk. It inspired the hell out of me. No, for real, seriously. That like you saying that every time I hear that, the encouragement of just hopping onto book club, hopping on to all the calls, doing all the things, and really putting yourself out there. Even in those moments where it feels like slow and growth, it just feels good to know that like the effort is there and it's a consistent effort and it grows in a lot of different places. Um, so you already had mentioned it too, but being present being present. I'm happiest when I'm in the present moment. When her kid asked, like, what's the happiest moment that you've had? And it's just like a reminder that life is in the now and it's here in this present moment on book club on a Saturday morning in an empty office, knock on wood. And just enjoying that. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways I've had of these chapters, which I didn't get to the last chapter. So this will be short, but that is so it's like sometimes I have to constantly remind myself, like in those moments where I don't know, hormones are on the rise and things seem pretty grim. In that moment, it's like, okay, well, this is what it is right now, and that's okay. Like you can really grow from a lot. Oh my God, I hate to admit it. You were right though. There's so much growth in pain. So much. And man, those painful situations, like, yeah, a year later, I'm about to laugh at it. Yeah, I can make jokes and just just act like water off a duck's back. Like it's not a big deal. It feels like um I mean, obviously, some things are more traumatic than others. Example, yesterday we were talking. I was talking to one of my colleagues. I had went to visit her property, and her maintenance person used to be my maintenance person a long time ago, and he didn't know I had got a new car. And he was like, "What happened to your RAV?" I'm like, "Oh man, I got into a horrible car accident. Like, it's gone. R.I.P. to Anakin." Anyways, so um I told him that, but I have my new car and my new car is beautiful. I do miss my old car. I still wish I had my old car. Yes, I wish I did not necessarily, like in my mind, the whole trauma from the accident was horrible. But what came about that pain was significant growth. And those are those moments that encourage I mean, I'm here. This is where I'm at now. Yes, I have a new car, but and I don't necessarily like I want my old car back, but my life because of that moment has made me grow. Because of that, I just went on a whole like journey and I went here and I went there and I talked to this person. I got this eye-opening experience and I I got to see exactly what it is that I needed to see at that moment. It's like your angels are always watching over you. They're watching over you when you're in those traumatic situations. They're watching over you when because of that situation now you're here and now you get to see why that happened. And yes, it's painful, but the results are often the complete opposite. Every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction. So it's real. Um, and then the other thing that really stuck out to me, and this is so important, designing your own life. Designing my life. What does that even mean? So going through the questions that he gave for chapter, I believe chapter seven, for chapter seven, um, when he said most people are designing, or was that Okay, anyways, I think it was an actress that said it, but most people are designing their careers versus designing their life. And that is really impactful. I mean, I said it on the last call, but sometimes I can have a very stressful job. Like I'm here on a Saturday, I have to do reports, I have to do financial notes, I have to do all of this stuff. And I'm just like it hurts sometimes, but I want to get better at my career. Like I'm in a place where I can keep growing and growing. But the trick is something that he said in that chapter as well. If you don't want to go any further in this area, then ask yourself these questions to see if this is even for you. And I realized like the next step after this is regional manager, and I'll be damned. I will be damned. I want to learn everything that I can from this. And I'm learning the real estate market through a whole different avenue. I'm learning how to, um, stay with the market, which helps me in my future career. And it's like, I know this is not where I want to be. So let me continue to utilize this time to design my life for the future and in the current moment that I'm living in. And so I can know how to navigate again with intention to continue to push forward to that vision, the vision that makes me happy, the one that keeps me alive when I'm the feeling sometimes at the lowest or when hormones are y'all don't understand, hormones are crazy out here. Okay, I know y'all a lot of guys on this, but like it is real out here for us. Like it's real. Anyways, so like by doing that, like I can actually take this like beautiful picture that has me like living amongst the trees and like it's beautiful and it smells good because the air is clean and I can see the stars at night and I can just enjoy my life. Like by doing that and taking that like designing my life that way, then my career is going to do what it's going to do until they all just kind of morph into this beautiful like ball of life. So um I will remember that very deeply. And also, he said that they'll design their vacations and Christmas. And I'm like, oh, he's talking about like what's really important. And what's really important, I think as a whole society has just become, well, society is definitely about the material, about being almost better than the other classism like crazy. So like there's this never ending list of things that you can do to look better and be better and have the best Christmas. And it's all BS because it has nothing to do with like the end goal. At the end of the day, those moments are special to spend time with your family. Oh, that's something that he also mentioned like what people would do at the end of their life. Like I would have saved more. I would have spent more time with my family. I would have done this with my life. And that's the whole purpose of like living in the present, like doing those things now. So I love that. And I'm grateful for it. So I will call on Mateo.
Grand Rising, everybody. How are we doing this morning? You guys are dropping some bars on this morning call. I can't lie to you. I want to start off by saying and being 100% transparent that I haven't really been prioritizing, like Jason was saying, my growth in between my ears as much as my growth in my bank account. Because the situation that I'm in, the reason why I'm going towards what I'm going towards with trading, it, and this is something that I need to work on with how I am intentional about my life is that I prioritize the means, not necessarily the way that I go about those means, which is obviously how you create your reality based on your thoughts, right? It's not just about the money. It's about the mind that we put towards the money. Because if you don't have the mind towards it, like Jason said, you're not going to keep it. So I really appreciate you guys being on this call and just motivating me in that way because this is something I need to do more. But looking at this book now in this call, I recognize this is a this is one I should honestly I got to dive into more because the first law, the law of environment, this is something that people do not, bro. You guys are like on point with the fact that this law is so one of the biggest things that has impacted my life for sure. I changed my environment in 2023, moved across the country, right? Everybody, including my own family, thought I was kind of crazy. Like I just dropped out of college and moved across the country, right? What the heck? Like, why would you need to do that? Well, of course you got to do that because you have to change your environment to be able to have conducive things to help you grow. Like imagine trying to have a whole garden, but you just put your box on the sidewalk, not on the ground. Like that's not a good environment for those flowers to grow, right? You have to be able to put yourself in a place that you can expect to succeed. Like if you want to run a faster race, like I guarantee, and people that play sports can kind of recognize this. If you want to get better at a sport, get on a good team because those people on that team are going to push you to do better. It's not like you're going to raise the standard, you're going to raise the bar now. If you're in a better environment, that stretching yourself to whatever level you want, that's now going to become the norm. So you have to really expect to perform at that level. And that's a good thing. Jason said if you want to play, you're gonna have to be better. LOL. That's facts. That's facts. If you don't want to be a bench warmer, you have to be able to step up to the status quo. And I'm so grateful that we have this community because this is something that I have not had really in my life ever. Even though I've tried to join different environments, even though, literally been in several different types of, let's go, Mikhail, getting back on. See you, dog. Yeah, bro. Getting in the right environment, creating the right environment for yourself is essential because you are the five people that you spend the most time around. I heard something, and this is something I want to share with you guys, and this very much contributes to this law. You will be as successful as the people you talk to for no reason. A lot of people will get in these environments and do the work, right? And then what do? They go back to where they were before because they think that doesn't matter. Like, oh, I did my work in this environment right now. I can kind of go back in my comfort zone. No, that comfort zone is an anchor weighing you down that you have to be able to release and grow out of, literally to the point where the person that you are striving to be, you have to act as if you're already that person. And that person wouldn't even entertain the idea of going back into an environment that doesn't serve them in their in the ways that they seem to be served and to serve, right? Um, Next law of design. So to maximize growth, you have to intentionally do this in a way that's not random. Like a lot of people think it'll happen by itself, but it won't. And you guys know that, obviously. We all know this. It's not going to happen on its own. Your account's not going to grow on its own. You got to actually place those trades. Your mind's not going to grow on its own. You have to actually, choices, not chances. Thank you, Jason. Yes, choices. It's a choice. Mindset is a choice. It's literally a choice. Having that abundance mindset, it's literally a decision to blink and switch your brain to recognize that this is what I choose. When something happens in your life that is a result of your choices, you have to recognize that this is your fault, nobody else's. You have to take accountability for the design that you are having in your life, whether conscious or unconscious or subconscious, right? Like you have to really recognize that you're not gonna rise to the level of your goals. You're gonna fall to the level of your systems. Everybody has big goals. Even the loser, the last place person has a goal to get to the finish line, right? But he's not going to get there first because he didn't have the systems, he didn't have the design around his life to encourage the growth that results in growing bigger than anyone, faster than anyone to get to the finish line first. So, yeah, when you design something, you have to. This is something I'm working towards more as well because a sign of, and this is something that I really look to our creator for, because you have to think about who designed us, right? It's funny that we're made in the image of God, but we're out here designers, literally designing our life, just like God designed his creation, right? And you have to recognize that, okay, something that is truly, truly beautiful is literally simpler than it appears. just because it's gone through so much refinement. Like you look at a gold chain and it's very like 99.999% pure. That doesn't look like it had too much to do with it because it's literally just one piece of metal, right? Or even a tree, bro. You look at a tree and you're like, okay, it's wood, it's leaves, it's branches, it's roots. But no, if you go on a microscopic level, that is so detailed, perfectly designed, it's not even funny. So when you're designing your life, if you want a high level of life, you have to design it down to the minute, down to the second, right? Doing that is something people overlook, and that's when you start to get, you're not going to quite get the results you want because you're not quite doing the work that requires it. And it's really just not becoming too big for the small things. Marcos loves to say that, and I love it too because it's so true. Like a lot of the things, like for example, this book club is not a small thing by any means, but I need to put myself in the environment to design my life around an environment that grows my brain more. And this is something that I can do very much more. So the law of pain, I want everybody to put a one in the chat if they felt like they've ever been in a situation that nobody else can understand because it's so painful. Like, oh, people don't understand me. Like, I've just been getting it so hard out here. Like, nobody understands me. Right? Isn't that funny? Like, and then when you look back, you're like, yeah, people probably could understand what that was like if I really just didn't feel so important. Everybody has been there for real. Yes, Marcos, that's facts. Maybe not in the exact way that you were, and that's okay because that's obviously your story. But if you've been through something, I can promise you there's somebody that's been through the exact same thing and in like damn near exactly the same way. So, with that being said, yes, humbling reminder, there's nothing new under the sun. Facts. When we're going through pain, I feel like a lot of people have a habit or just like a mindset to think that they're so important that this pain is bigger than anybody else's, right? And it's when you humble yourself to the point of understanding that this is such a blessing to have this pain because it's a rite of passage to greater things that everybody has to go through at some point. And the pain that you're experiencing is meant to bring you closer to the one who actually bared the burden of the real pain, right? I compare my situation sometimes to people in completely like extreme circumstances. Like I have a lot of respect for people that are in the military or have been in the military, Jason, because you guys have seen things potentially. I'm not sure if you were like out there in the field like that, but there's people, bro, who are literally covered in mud, in blood, in the dirt, hoping to God that a whistle drone over them doesn't see them. And that's their problem. That's their pain. And they got a family back home that they probably will never see again unless they just completely miraculously get out of the situation they're in because they're behind enemy lines. And every step is a completely chance of, oh, I might step on a bomb. Like that's their problem. That's their life. And we're out here like, oh, I gotta grow my 10K account. Like, bro, we're fed. It's sunny outside right now for me. I don't know if it's raining for you, but probably got food, clean water. You took a hot shower recently. Like, we have so much blessings that just focusing on the pain sometimes can be a little bit hard to stay in a state of gratefulness. And that's what I'm really trying to get at. You should be grateful for the pain that you're experiencing because there's so much worse that could happen. Like I've been in terrible situations before where I'm literally like broke, homeless, didn't have any food, literally. I was going hungry. And I was thankful for it because I recognized I still have two hands, 2 feet, two eyes to see that was able to get me out of my situation. And I was like, aren't I just so blessed to have these problems? Because somebody would literally trade places with me in a heartbeat if I gave them the opportunity, right? So you literally use setbacks as setups for comebacks because that's all it is literally just a setup for a comeback. And I love comebacks, don't you? In a story, like those are the best times when you're like, "Ha, I made it out. Try me again," right? Um, Next one is the law of the ladder, and I'm pretty sure this is the last one that we were going over. Um, Character growth determines the height of your personal growth. So your income will never exceed your level of personal development. And a lot of people who don't understand that will say, oh, well, that's just not true. Because I know people who are like so rich, but they just are trash people. And yes, there are some people out here that genuinely get millions of dollars and they are not personally developed as much as any of us on this call. But I promise you, they're not going to build a legacy. They're not going to build a wealth. They're not going to build a kingdom that stands the test of time whatsoever. They're just getting the money and the money's going to go just as fast as it came. And if you are out here really trying to build yourself a kingdom, then recognize that that has to be built on a foundation of rock, not sand. And the personal development behind it is what's going to keep that there. Because what happens in hard times when it actually comes down to whether or not you can keep what you built, right? If you can be strong in hard times, then good times will follow, right? But if you cannot be strong in hard times, then harder times will follow. And just got to recognize no matter how good it's going right now, hard times will come. There is a story, and I want to share the story, and then I'm going to pass it off to um Roshizi. I always love when Roshizi goes. She's got energy. Or no, wait, did Roshizi already go? No, I didn't think so. I was gonna say, yeah. So there's a king. King's name is Solomon. Richest, wisest man in all of existence, right? There was a party going on in his castle, in his temple that was celebrating some great thing that happened. And Solomon said that he wanted a ring that could keep him grounded. No matter how happy he is, that ring would make him sad. And no matter how sad he was, that ring could make him happy again. Right? So his assistant person went out into the village, into all the different cities of Israel, and tried to find a ring that could help Solomon stay happy when he was sad, and when he was sad, keep him happy, right? Nobody could understand this. It was a riddle. It was like, Solomon, you give me an impossible job right now. What the heck do you want? Until finally one person gave him this ring because they understood what he wanted. So in the middle of the hubble bustle of the whole temple filled with people, Solomon's sitting on his throne, bossing it, right? Completely ingrained in the moment. And his assistant comes finally running through the people, surprises Solomon, says, Here, I have what you wanted. So Solomon looks at this ring with a big grin on his face because he's like, Yes, I got it. And it slowly but certainly turned to a frown because on the ring was inscribed the words, This too shall pass. Meaning, when you're in a really great place, you read those words, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. When it's a really bad time, when it's like you just look like you're just at the end of your rope, like God is just done with you. Sometimes it feels like you look at that and it says, this too shall pass. And when it comes to the ladder, the law of the ladder, there's going to be times where you step on that ladder and it seems like you can't go another rung higher. But this too shall pass. Literally every single level comes with a level of exhaustion where it's like it just can't get any more uncomfortable. And I just can't, right? But this too shall pass. That's just something that I've learned through climbing the ladder, right? But I'm gonna pass it off again to Roshizi because she's awesome.
Thank you. Where's my round of applause to bring me in? No, I'm just playing. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Thanks everybody for sharing. This is a good book. I really, really love this book. I'm telling everybody in my life to read this book. um, I was just going through it again because I listened to the audio and I wanted to like find certain things to point out. So, going at this point gave me some time to do that. I'll start with chapter 6. So there's a lot that I got out of this. So just pick up some things to talk about, and I'll do my best to keep it concise. So chapter 6, the law of the environment. This is a really good one. It's possible. I'm not going to read everything I highlighted. So, okay. I liked where he was talking about um, knowing the difference between a problem or challenge, which I can change, and a fact of life, which I cannot. Knowing the difference between a problem or challenge, which I can change, and a fact of life, which I cannot. Um, and how, when it comes to problems or challenges that we can change, like doing what we can to change them, but with facts of life, like changing our attitude, because he talks about changing is like change, growth equals change. He said it's possible to change without growing, but it's impossible to grow without changing. And then the story about the bird, I thought that was funny. Change, he's, y'all read it. If you didn't read it, it's about this lady who had a bird. And she keeps going to the store and getting different things for the bird to make the bird talk. And then the bird ends up dying. But the bird said one thing before it died. It said, "Don't they sell any food down there?" And the moral of this story is that change for the sake of change is not going to help you. If you're gonna start making changes, you have to make sure that they're the right ones. So like basically be intentional. Um, Start by assessing where you are now and why you want to change. I really like that whole part because it just resonates with me and where I'm at in my life right now. And then he talks about how to figure out if you're in a conducive environment to your growth or not. Um, and it's whether you're looking forward to what you're doing or looking back at what you've done. Um, like, he gives some other tools or suggestions or whatever, like if someone's not able to really figure out if they're in a growth environment. For me, like, I know whether I'm in a growth environment or not. Like, like I just look around at the people around me, the things around me, and I look at how I feel and how I'm doing, like assess my own, like where I'm at, and that lets me know whether or not I'm in a conducive growth environment. So, like I would say that right now in my life, like actually I am in a very conducive environment. Like, I have book club and all of the things that TGF does. I have a powerful creative community as well. I have my recovery community. Like I'm in school. I am in the process of becoming closer, growing my spiritual self. So like I'm in a very like conducive growth environment in a whole bunch of different areas in my life, which I'm really grateful for. And um yeah, I like the list of how he wrote out. He said, this is like my growth environment where others are ahead of me. I'm continually challenged. My focus is forward. The atmosphere is affirming. I'm often out of my comfort zone. I wake up excited. Failure is not my enemy. Others are growing. People desire change. Growth is modeled and expected. Like I see all of those things in those different areas that I just listed. So that's how I know like that just affirmed for me that like I'm in a growth environment. This was talked about a little bit. Who you spend your time with. I really like the quote: "You are the same today that you are going to be in 5 years from now, except for two things: the people whom you associate and the books you read." And then he says the popular quote that we always talk about that Jim Rohn said that you're the combined average of the five people who you spend most time around, right? And that you could tell the quality of our health or a person's health, attitude, and income by looking at the people that surround them. Um, so yeah, am just grateful that I'm taking the time. We're all taking the time to be intentional about the well, hopefully, I really don't know who y'all be spending y'all time around other than when we're not on these calls. But I hope everybody here is taking intentional steps with like who we surround ourselves with, and like not just reading these books, but like applying them too. Which he talks about the application later. We'll get there. So the other part I really like, Jason was touching on that the three different kinds of people. He talked about having an accountability partner. I'm really excited to I found somebody to be my accountability partner, and I'm really looking forward to how we're going to challenge each other and hold each other accountable. We're starting a 21-day challenge together, and um, yeah, it's gonna be dope. And then I also really like the story under Challenge Yourself in a New Environment, where we talk about the painter, and the painter painted the birds and the trees, and we left all this empty space because the birds need room to fly. It's like, wow, so profound. um, One of the most positive things about being in a growth environment is that it gives you room to fly, right? That's where we talk about like not being the smartest one in the room. Um, and yeah, just like surrounding, I must surround myself with people, places, things that allow me opportunities for growth. Um, Focus on the moment. I really love that little section too. I've been this whole week. I've been really focusing on being present because there's been like there's just been situations that people that I've been dealing with where I'm like, this is not it. I don't want to be here. I want to run away. And I can't do that. So, I mean, I could, but then it's not going to get me where I want to go. So I've been figuring out how to just like navigate through those situations and cope through them when I'm in them. And like the the solution that I found is that I just need to focus on being present because this moment is the only moment that I have, right? This was already talked about, but it's important. And like, looking back, I'm not where I want to be, but like I'm a long way from where I came from if I look back. So like I just am grateful for that growth that I've already made and like I can see where I'm going. And like let me just, I also noticed that when I'm not being present, like the time seems like it goes by fast. Like I feel like the whole month of May just like here and it was gone. And I realized I was not being very present. It was my time. So this month I'm like intentionally like taking every day by day, moment by moment, just being present, even if it's not where I want to be in the moment. Like, it talks about that gratitude, attitude of gratitude later too. Just being grateful for everything because everything is a lesson or a blessing, you know. What else? Move forward despite criticism. Growth always comes from taking action. Taking action almost always brings criticism. To reach your potential, you must not only do what others believe you cannot do, but even what you believe you cannot do. Most people underestimate themselves. They shoot for what they know they can reach. I really, really I related to that because that's how I've always thought, let me make goals that I know I can reach and be realistic, right? But instead, they should reach for what's beyond the grasp. And like, I'm grateful for this community for teaching me that. Like, um, I think it was Mikhail when I like got reconnected when I got started with TGF and he was going over like a goal plan with me. I was like, "This is my goals," and he was like, "No, you need to like 10x your goals." And I was like, "But there's no way I can do that." And he was like, "It doesn't matter." He was like, "You have to up it." You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sorry, I was looking at Justin's camera. It looks like a fucking like a what's it called strobe light. Okay. What's next? I'm gonna move on to the next chapter, I think, because that's like a lot. So the law of design. I really like this chapter too because he talks all about strategies, right? Like when I was listening to this, all I could think about was how I'd be driving and I drive so strategically, okay? You know how like people will be driving and they'll just drive behind the car that's behind them. I'm looking past the car behind me. I'm looking on all the other lanes. I'm switching to the lane that has the least amount of traffic. If we're all coming up to a light and there's three lanes and it's like there's two cars in this lane, three cars in this lane, and seven cars in this lane, I'm going all the way to the lane with two cars. And then, um, some people be scared to ride with me because I drive kind of crazy, but like I am safe. I'm a safe driver. I just call it that I drive efficiently and strategically because I be trying to get to A to B in a timely fashion. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever get in my car to just be in my car. Get in my car to drive. So anyway, and like I've started creating strategies and systems for how I plan my life too. Like I can't really show y'all because but right behind my computer I have a whiteboard calendar and every month I write the numbers in the boxes. Um I color code all my different like commitments and events and things like that. Like church is always written in orange. All my meetings, my recovery meetings are written in green. My schooling is written in blue. My appointments are written in pink. All of the TGF and PC Powerful Creator calls are all written in red. Like it's a system, right? All events are written in light green. And then I write the month. I write on the side where there's notes, like all my expenses, anything that's late, anything that's coming up that's due. I write all my credit card stuff. Like I have a whole system, right? And it keeps me on my P's and Q's, right? I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. But I love being organized, and so this whole entire chapter was just giving for me. Because he opened the chapter talking about how he reflects on every new year. He reflects on, or I guess the week of Christmas, he reflects on his previous year and how, how it went, what he could do to improve, and starts to begin to plan his next upcoming year, which I've never done that, but that sounds like something I should maybe do. Especially because every time that the month is over, I take a picture of my calendar. I don't just erase it, take a picture and then I erase it so that I have like all the months like documented. And I started doing that just like recently, probably within the last year, 6 months to a year, because I was just like, I need to be more organized. I also use the calendar on my phone because as much as I like write stuff down and like have it posted up, I still be forgetting. So I have to like use my phone calendar, use my phone reminders, and like set alarms so that, it helps just keep me organized. It's part of my personal system, right? So he talks about he said life is pretty simple. It's a matter of knowing your values, making some key decisions based on those values, and then managing those decisions on a day-to-day basis. That's pretty straightforward. And in, at least in theory, the longer we live, the more that we learn, the more experience and the more knowledge we acquire. That should make life even simpler. But life has a way of becoming complicated. Yeah, I would argue that we are the ones who complicate life. Like life really is simple, and we complicate it. But he says through great effort we can keep it simple, and I would agree with that as well. So he talked about just different global strategies and all these things. I liked that he talked about designing your life is more important than designing your career. If you plan your life well, then your career will work itself out. The problem is that most people don't spend very much time planning their careers either. They plan for they spend more time planning for Christmas and their vacation because they think that it will give them the greatest return. That's the most ignorant thought I've ever thought in my life. Like, um, so I don't know, but like I used to be somebody like that. So you know, um, planning your life is about finding yourself, knowing who you are, and customizing a design for your growth. Once you draw the blueprint for your life, then you can apply it to your career. I really like that because I don't know, too, for like, I was just talking about this the other day, how I don't know if it's just a me thing or if it's a thing that other people experience too, but like there's often this idea that like there's one calling on your life or one purpose for your life or like one thing that you're supposed to do for the rest of your life. And like I've never like been able to find just one thing that I was interested in or that I wanted to do. Like there are so many different things that I want to do. But I do have to take it one thing at a time and like master one area before I can move on to the next. And so like I love the whole idea of planning my life and not my career because like if you asked me to plan my career, I wouldn't know what to tell you. Like but if you ask me to plan my life, I could definitely say that there are certain things that I want to achieve in my life. Like I want to be financially free. I want time freedom. I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be able to um, own multiple houses, properties. Like I want to, honestly, I want to be married. I want to have more kids. I want to have a big family. I want to, you know, um, have multiple businesses. Like there's a whole bunch of things that I want to like do in my life, right? So if I go for those things, like my quote unquote career will like it will follow. So each of us I really like the part about life is not a dress rehearsal. He said each of us goes on stage cold with no preparation, and we have to figure it out as we go along. This is really how I felt after I had my baby. I was like, I'm just winging the fuck out of this. Um, I can be messy. We fail. We make mistakes, but we still need to give it our best from the very start. Um, that's exactly what it's like parenting. In case you haven't been a parent before, so and I mean that's true for life too. Um, yeah, and planning your life multiply everything by two. I like that just because overestimate the amount of time, money, effort that it's going to take just because you never know. Yeah, so then he gets into talking about the developing strategies and depend on systems, why it's important. Most accomplishments in life are more easily if you approach them strategically, like duh. I just this is where he was talking about all his systems, personal systems and stuff like that. A system is a process for predictably achieving a goal based on specific, orderly, repeatable principles and practices. Systems leverage your time, money, and abilities. They are great tools for personal growth. Systems are deliberate, intentional, and practical. They really work, regardless of your profession, talent level, or experience. They improve your performance. A life without any systems is a life where the person must face every task and challenge from scratch. And like, I don't know how people let me just keep the focus on me. I don't know how I used to live my life without using a calendar. Like that is like the most simple system that there is, and like it's just crazy to me that there are people who like don't plan their days and don't plan what they don't know what they're doing. Um, I just don't believe that there's a way to be successful living like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna move on. Well, there's so much in this chapter, but this other okay, when he talks about effective systems make use of priorities, like what is the most valuable use of my time right now? Your answer to that question should shape any system you create for yourself. When is my most valuable time? Mikhail sent me this reel one time. I have to go back and look at that. It was about like what time of day to like do what activities, and I thought that that was really cool. I don't know what else to say about it because I haven't looked at it for a long time, but yeah, and then just the last thing I'll say about this chapter is like where would business so he talks about measurement, right? Like effective systems include measurement and like where would business people be if they had no way of measuring their profits? Where would sales and marketing people be if they had no idea how many leads turned into sales or um and how many where would sports teams be if they never knew the score of the game? Measurement is key to improvement. In fact, measurement itself can even create improvement. Um, so in the systems that I have for myself, I'm like I want to figure out how to be able to measure my improvement and my growth because I'm not sure that I really do that yet. But yeah, and then just include effective systems include application. No plan is worth the paper it is printed on unless it starts you doing something. So yeah, so enough about that. Chapter 8, the law of pain. This one was a good one too. Um, all I'm really gonna say about this chapter is that like I definitely also like others shared I can relate to having gone through pain and it being a catalyst for major growth in my life. And I'm learning how to manage bad experiences better because I used to have a very like cynical and negative outlook on life. I used to be very like, woe is me. I used to think it was like me against the world. And like something bad would happen and I would like use that victim mentality. I used to use identity politics all the time. Like I'm just a young black queer girl in the world just hates me. Everything is against me. All the systems are against me. And like my mindset has changed a lot around that. Learning to just like value every experience I go through, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, like just to use it as a learning experience. And like what's helped me with that is just acceptance, like accepting the serenity prayer. Accept the things I cannot change. Okay. Courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference, like for real. And being able to surrender, like just I don't necessarily like yeah, when I think it was Mateo, one of y'all was like talking about when your life looks crazy, I can't believe this is my life and blah blah blah. I've had a lot of those moments. Some of those moments have been more recently where I just have I've responded so differently than I've ever responded. Like I just I'll pause and I'll look and I'll be like, okay, this is how we're gonna do this. Like for example, real quick yesterday. This lady was coming to buy a dresser from me. We agreed at 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. I hauled the dresser downstairs. Mind you, I live on the fifth floor. We do have an elevator, but the dresser's heavy. And I wasn't planning on bringing it down by myself, but I was like, maybe I can do it. She was like, is it going to be on the ground floor? I said, no, it's going to be on the fifth floor in my apartment. Excuse me. But 2 o'clock comes. I'm like, let me just, I bring it downstairs. I check my messages, and the lady's like, oh, the GPS brought me on a detour. I'm not going to be there till 3. And I was like, for real? Just haul this dresser down. I gotta wait a whole hour, and like I don't live in an apartment where pretty sure nobody would take it, but I'm not gonna take that chance of leaving this dresser, downstairs unattended. And it's so I bring it all the way back up. And instead of getting pissed off or cussing her out or being mad, I just said, okay, sounds good. See you when you get here. And I just said, "Ugh," and I brought it back up and I left it and I went to go run an errand, came back and like I brought it back down. And I wasn't even mad. I was like, I could get mad. I could ask her to give me more money for it. I could, and I just didn't like acceptance and like whatever, right? So anyway, that wasn't really like that bad of an experience, but just for an example, like I've grown a lot in that area too. Um, so this is a really good chapter. Just being able to manage bad experiences well helps you to grow. Is the bottom line of that. And the bad experiences happen to us all. Nobody likes to have bad experiences, but how we deal with it is what's the most important. I think there's a quote too that comes from this chapter that like life isn't what it's supposed to be. Life is what it is, and how we cope with it that makes the difference, right? And then lastly, the law of the ladder, chapter 9. This one was about character development, character growth. It talks about the prison and how the people came and they changed the prisons and trying to figure out what my biggest takeaway was from this. I don't know. This is where he was talking about gratitude, right? The attitude of gratitude and um he talked about be willing to serve others, being teachable, recognize that everyone has weaknesses, remember the big picture. Like, um, yeah, I just listened to this one, and I didn't get to highlight anything, but I just want to say one thing about the being of service to others because that's really important. That's something that I do in my life and that I encourage everybody to do because like we were just talking about this the other day at a meeting I was at, like we're our best selves when we're being of service to others. And like if I'm going through a hard time or whatever, I think that like I'm like my life is just the worst thing in the world or whatever, like being of service to somebody else is gonna get me out of that so quick. So quick. Um, because like somebody else, even if it's just lending a listening ear to somebody, if it's giving them $20 so that they can get lunch, if it's helping them move something, if it's like actually volunteering at like an organization or whatever kind of service it is, like it literally will make it boosts your self-esteem. It really does. And like being of service isn't just doing things. How do I explain this? Like, there's this dude that's like viral on the internet. He is local in my area, and he goes around the Twin Cities like feeding homeless people and shit, and like giving them money, and like records it, and everybody be coming at him because he's like, you don't have to record it, and you can just do it and not record it. He's like famous and on the internet because he's. Service, like good service is like doing the right thing for the right reason, like doing it from the good of your heart, not because of like the accolades you'll get or because of like how it's gonna make you look or things like that. So I think it's really important to like be of service to other people and like just do it because like that's like I do service because it helps me stay freaking sane. And it like I said, helps me get out of myself and it just like it feels good to just help other people. I've always liked to help other people ever since I was younger. So um yeah, I think I talked a lot. So where's my applause now that I'm done? I'm just playing with y'all. Is Gervonta here? If you are, sir, it's your turn.
Who you
Yes.
calling, Rashidi?
Oh, she called on me.
Bet. Let's get it. What's up, Javante? Good morning.
Good morning, y'all. What's happening? So I'm not quite where you guys at in the book yet. I just started this week, so I'll be very concise. I'm on chapter 1 and 2, but I do plan on getting caught up next week. Uh, but currently where I'm at, I do think this book is very like God sent this to me for real. Just based off the first two chapters, because I mean, if you do want to grow, you have to be intentional about it, the law of intentionality. And speaking like from myself, I'm the type of person like I'm very intentional about my growth, you know, understanding where I come from. I understand that I do have to, want to be better and understand what it takes to get there. And one thing that came to mind is a quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza. He said, if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then you're left with the old memories of the past and you will be predictable in your life. Um, and that really hit me because like people who aren't intentional about, growing are really just going to be reliving the same life until they die. And that's kind of what we don't want, you know? Um, and then the law of awareness. Uh, it's like, how can you change something that you're not aware of, So that constant intentional diving into your growth, man, it's a very, it can be like a painful process, but like it takes pain to, grow, it's always going to be like the journey to your goals are always going to be uncomfortable, but you learn to find, comfortability in the chaos. Um, it's like when we were born, like in our mother's womb, that's a very hostile environment, a dark environment. Yet God chose each of us, on this call, and, everyone who is living, they went through that hostile environment to get to where they're at now. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna just be quick and concise. That's pretty much all I want to say. But I really do appreciate everyone else that spoke too, because I mean, even though I'm not caught up where you guys at, like just to be in the environment of people growing and people, being intentional with their growth, it's just like something to be grateful for.
Appreciate you, big dog. I'm since I closed off last week, let Mikhail close off this week. Plus, I got to get going, so I'm going to be concise as well, especially because a lot of what these chapters covered got discussed and talked about. Shout out everybody, one for just being intentional. I always describe intention as doing things on purpose, for purpose, with purpose. And y'all are doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like what we're doing right now is the consistent deposits on the investment that will ultimately give you your greatest ROI. And that's you, period, point blank. And it's literally why we established our motto for TGF to be the fact that it's not what you do that matters, it's who you do it with. And one of the things, like some people touched on it a little bit, but the chapter that didn't get covered too much because it was a pretty hefty reading was the last one. So I want to talk about it because I think it's one of the most defining chapters we've read so far on the laws of growth because it really does take intentionality. And a lot of y'all, I've seen and witnessed y'all grow immensely by being more intentional. So I just want to give y'all your flowers as well. Javante, I don't even know you, bro, but welcome to the call. You know what I'm saying? And I am excited that you're a part of the environment as well because, man, when it comes to people, you attract who you are, not not what you want. And usually if you're not a good fit, you won't fit in. You know what I'm saying? So the frequency and the gratitude is also reciprocated, brother, and I appreciate the value you gave. But in terms of chapter 9, I had a few things I wanted to touch on. Um, never allow the things you do to dictate the overall significance of what you're doing, right? He started off the chapter with a story about a guy who failed in network marketing. Hopefully y'all read this. But or if you haven't, go back and reread it. But this man literally was ambitious, ready to go, but without guidance. It's crazy how much I related to this dude's story because it's literally what happened in my life, right? I was a part of a company. I was hungry. I didn't even know I got started in direct sales. I literally just thought I'd joined a travel club, fam, because it was that lit and we had a good time going all over the planet. Yeah, no, so hold on. What do you mean, Because what it says here, it says the time he became part of a network marketing venture. I don't know your comment. That kind of distracted me. But clarify for me, Rosisi, and I'll touch on that. But anyways, he was hungry, he was figuring it out. He had some traction, and then the company just bailed out. And me, not having known what I was a part of, I was just traveling. I got invited to go to a personal development event. And then from that environment completely stretched my mindset. And all I wanted to do was learn more about what these successful people knew, to learn more about myself so that I can improve and literally have a taste of what some of the people who walked stage and expressed that they were able to obtain in their stories. And I was like, yo, this is surreal, bro. Like it's actually possible for me. And as I started getting some traction, boom, company's gone. And we were like, what's going on? We were like, what's going on? And I literally could feel this guy's like pain, bro. Like I'm just kind of relating it back to, right, the previous three chapters we y'all covered extremely well. And what John C. Maxwell was saying that he went and sought the right advice, and the guy gave him a book that discussed Proverbs. And in the following page, it says, this is what he said. Jerry sensed that if he were to be a successful businessman, he needed to learn how to think like a successful businessman. With that in mind, I don't know why I'm getting emotional right now, but it's real life, y'all. He says, with that in mind, he got together 5 or 6 people and they committed to meet together once a week for an hour or so to study the principles of this little book that he had been given. For the first time, he was intentional about his personal growth. Y'all, I could have avoided so much frustration and experiences, um, and pain if I had just like opened up the book that people were telling me to read and like read them. The most impactful has been this one right here. But everything, like as you guys can read, a lot of the successful people practice extreme faith, like up to the point where you're kind of delusional, right? And like y'all, we're doing that. And it's wild because my results started changing in my career, y'all. Once Mikhail and I just started talking about the books we were reading. And they were like, dude, let's actually do a Bible, one Bible study, but also book club so that people can get together and discuss and actually hold one another accountable so that we can grow and literally make progress from where we're at to where we really want to go and be. And I think the reason why I get emotional about it is because I I didn't know what to do. I just had a burning desire. And I didn't know how or why I couldn't think about it or why I couldn't like not think about it, right? Sometimes our human default is to take the least route of resist or the route of least resistance. So It's so much easier to just quit and just be normal, as SpongeBob would say. And like just literally be in this 9 to 5 lifestyle that most people live their whole life in. And I'm not just talking about like jobs are bad. I'm just saying instead of designing your life, you focus more on your job than you do yourself. You know, Jim Rohn taught me that through audios all the time. Like, bro, most people are going to work harder on their job than they work on themselves. And that's why they're never going to get to where they want to go, the matrix. But once you're aware and you break free, like you're like a shark. Sharks literally cannot swim backwards. Like once you know, right? And once I started knowing the principles that I was reading and then applying them in my life, I saw the differences that it made in a result. And then I was able to grow. And like, y'all, this is so impactful because everything that I've went through, everything that I've done, and everything that is happening has literally helped me become the man that I am. And I first had to make that intentional choice to become that person first, right? So as he's speaking on this chapter, he says that boom, 99% of all failures are because of failures of character. And most people focus too much on competence than on character. Oh, whoa. Yes, sir. It's real life though, because like it's important to know the nuts and bolts, but everything is mental. Like you can know all the nuts and bolts, but if your paradigm and your perspective is negative, then you ain't got no shot. You could have, as Mateo said, someone's dream living in a minimalistic resource type of environment, right? Like you're struggling, you don't have much, but you're literally living someone else's prayer. But because of your paradigm, instead of being resourceful over your resources, you view it in a perspective of lack rather than of abundance. And when I say you, I'm talking about like all of us, to clarify. So in that process, I think it's extremely important to remember and be mindful that it is who you are that matters. It's not anything else because at the end of the day, you can try to be and successful and be great at your job as an employee, be great as a mom, be great as a dad, be great as a brother, be great as a friend, but none of it matters. You cannot put the process in. You can be the best trader, the best basketball player. None of it matters unless you're the best here. The reason why Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were remembered is because of who they were and how they operated. It geared and drove them. The reason why John C. Maxwell was respected and considered a mentor is because of the person that he's grown to be over the years, the vulnerability, right? The transparency. And he talks about a large amount about humility. And that's what I really wanted to spend majority of my time talking about is because I don't think we practice it enough, especially in today's society. Everybody's so caught up on what you do and what you got going on. And I be reminding myself, and I speak it and I preach it every single time because I tell myself first and foremost, and I believe in this principle. It is not about you. It is not about you. And if it's about you, go ahead. This ain't the space for you because we literally are called to serve one another out of love. That was not a suggestion. It was literally given to us with the expectation of obedience, doing that. And if you look all around us in the planet today, there's not a lot of that going around because most people don't just, as Kendrick Lamar would say, sit down, be humble. Like, bro, it's generally not about you. Like, get out of the way, bro, and provide a path for people to go and run. Serve other people, right? I love this one quote from the chapter, and it said, ask yourself what you want people to do for you, then grab the initiative and do it for them. It's a very simple concept. I don't know many people that are even willing to try that concept and attempt it because they're so focused on me, 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 me. I got to make sure I get myself out of my scenario, my situation. I'm struggling right now. I need better results. Yes, you need better results. If you want better results, go and help people go get results. Like I don't understand. Like it's a very simple concept. And like when people hear it, they reject it. It's about 95% of individuals. And I've learned to just accept what I'm being shown. As Rosizi said, it is what it is. And I keep it moving. It no longer bothers me. But it used to literally boil my insides. I'd be so frustrated and heated, y'all. Marcus Rivera 5 years ago genuinely had an anger problem. And it's why I had struggled in a lot of areas. None of y'all really know that man because I've put him aside once I became a man and I put aside childish things. But in the process, genuinely, y'all, frustrated the crap out of me because everybody wants to go and win. And when they go and hear from not just myself, somebody that they're asking help from, or people that we've surrounded them with to help them, or put them in environments where they're hearing individuals speak the same concept of if you want to go and reach all your goals, help other people go and reach their goals first. If you want more respect, you've got to give more respect. If you want more acknowledgement and celebration, like why won't you just celebrate other people? Never understood the selfishness behind the human nature of that regard. Like, let me not celebrate that person. I am the loudest in the room. I don't care what you got going on. Congratulations, bro. Congratulations, sis. Let's go. I'd be obnoxious a little bit to the point where I'm constantly like reaching out and telling people there was a point in my life when I wasn't as busy because somebody told me to, and I just practiced it for like 3 years straight. Every time Facebook would tell me there was birthdays, I was sitting there and texting everybody, happy birthday. Because as you get older, as you guys know, a lot of people don't even acknowledge or receive the love anymore, right? And I just know that if I want to receive something, I have to be willing to give. And everybody expects to just take, and not pay a price. And I think that golden rule, understanding that people actually matter, matter, makes all the difference, fam. And the outside is influenced by the inside. If you do the things you need to do when you need to do them, then someday you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. In other words, before you can do, you must be. He says that I usually conclude that something is wrong on the inside and needs to be changed when he notices that people who seem to be doing all the right things have not experienced or are not experiencing success. Like the reason why I move with confidence in guiding people is because I understand that we have developed systems that create results and all it requires is personal effort. But if you do not leverage the systems that are in motion and are in place, and you don't utilize it to the best of your ability and your extent with your own systems to ensure that you can actually execute, right? As John C. Maxwell talked about, a system for growth, a system for scheduling, a system for preaching, a system for reflecting, right? All those play a part in his system of executing his purpose so that when he's focused, the way that he wrote it, oh, I gotta find it. The way that he wrote it is that it frees up your mental space so that you can lock in. Like, lock in. You cannot lock in if you're busy paying attention to other things that don't give you a source of power. He said the number one time waster for most people is looking for things that are lost. So get organized so that you can have a sense of power. I'm a very like organized person and it's definitely had some time and been worked on over the years. But literally your success is based on your daily routine and you have to take account of your priorities. Otherwise, your unhappiness is going to come from not knowing what we want and killing ourselves to go and get it. That was a bar. Like you're in the happiness is you don't even know what you're going after, but you're going after it. So you're breaking yourself and you're stretching yourself thin. Like that's where we come with the clarity and the actual specifics that are necessary. Right. And then look, he said that Rosizi touched on it, right? By leveraging your time, money, and abilities, the great tools for personal growth. They are deliberate, intentional, and practical. And when you have those systems in place, you are able to be more in the present moment. Right? If I have systems in tune, I've talked about this a lot with people on a one-on-one basis, but in group settings too. But like in order to properly schedule out time to do what it is you know you need to do when you need to do them so that you can go do the things you want to do when you want to do them, you've got to prioritize what matters most to you. If you look at your day-to-day routine and schedule and you say you prioritize wealth, but you spend more time chopping it up on the phone, not growing you. You spend more time kicking it versus applying energy and effort to serving others. You ain't going nowhere. You've got to actually understand what your priorities are, right? Somebody in the chat, I've told at least 4 people, 5 people, you've got to first and foremost prioritize what matters most to you by creating a list. Write it down. Write it down 1 through 10. Then you can schedule, and then you're able to actually systemize and ensure that in this period of time, I can put my focus and my energy towards this task. And you'll be surprised what you're able to accomplish on a day-to-day because it is simple. You're just not doing the work that you know that needs to be done. And that's why you feel a certain type of pain in the middle of your process because you're not actually being who you need to be to go and execute and get to the areas in life that you're wanting to go to. And understand that, like, yes, there's a lot of things that are out of your control, accept that, but there are a lot of things that are in your control as well. Right. And Jim Rohn said that we cannot often determine what happens to us, but we can always determine what happens within us. Getting the inside right must come first. I've always said you can control 2 things, your attitude of mind and the choices, or excuse me, and the thoughts that you choose to focus on, aka your focus. So if you maintain a positive outlook and gratitude and attitude, and you focus on the thoughts that yield the positive choices that align with your priorities, then you have more control than you give yourself credit for. That's all you need. Everything else you can't control. You can respond rather than react like most people do. You can receive the information and then you can look at your situation with a different lens. I really liked when he said in chapter 8, what was it saying? Hold on. I had a whole paragraph. No, when anything happens, no longer forward nor behind. I look in hope or fear, but grateful take the good I find, the best of now and here. Life is filled with good and bad. Some of the good and bad I can't control. That's life. Some of the good and bad will find me. If I have a positive life stance, the good and bad will become better. If I have a negative one, it'll get worse. Therefore, I choose a positive life stance. Y'all be delusionally optimistic. I am so much a delusional optimist that I've gotten called plenty of times being toxic positive, and it's okay. At first, I used to take offense. And now I appreciate it because I understand that the way that I perceive things is different than what most people can comprehend. That most people are unwilling to comprehend. Everybody's capable to look at the positive side of things, but most people are unwilling. to go and perceive that. So I make it a priority in my life to have that positive outlook and make the most of a situation, regardless of what it is, so that I can move forward and I can aggressively develop and become exactly who I'm supposed to be so I can carry out the mission that I've been able to put on my life. Period, point blank. So the one last thing I want to leave it on with while I pass this thing over to Mr. Steele. Boom. Let me find it. Okay, he says, I think anyone who is honest with himself realizes that he falls short of where he could and should be in life. Reaching 100% of your potential is not something that you're going to be able to do in this lifetime. But you can always strive to get as close as possible before our time is out. And if you can take control of your behavior, your emotions will fall into place. You must strive to finish well because faithfulness matters. He says, I am enduring to do that by doing the right thing and becoming a better person every day. If you want a better world, you'll have to start by becoming a better person. If you want a better life, you've got to start with you. Hey, that song is powerful. We should play that before we walk out of here. Man in the mirror. Hey,
Bro, I love that quote that
bro,
he had
it's
towards
actually
the
a
end.
bar. It's an amazing song. But yeah, you just got to understand that if you take control of your behavior, your emotions will fall into place. Y'all, if y'all don't remember anything than what I've just said, please write this down somewhere and engrave it in your brain. And that is this: motion creates motion. If you're feeling down, go outside for a walk, play upbeat music, and dance. Call somebody real quick, have a 5-minute conversation, and get excited. Right? He says that borrowed belief never lasts, but you can borrow belief until you build your own. But you've got to do something in order to get the ball rolling, right? The snowball effect only happens if you create the snowball and then you push it to roll down the hill. But most people want a big snowball and they ain't even make the snowball at all. The mountain is there for you to climb. It is not going to climb itself. The ark needs to be built. You have all the tools, you've got the blueprint. Are you going to build it? That's the only thing. But if you build it on a strong foundation, then you can constantly move forward, understanding that you are remembering the big picture. You are understanding that you can remain coachable and teachable because you know that everybody has weaknesses, including yourself. And you can be open to that correction and never assume that you're not going to mess up because odds are you are. But what I've learned is that I usually start to feel better as I'm in action and I'm in purpose and I'm serving other people and I'm helping them solve their problems and it helps me solve my problems. Like it's very much a mindset of knowing that in order to operate at the highest level and being of value of other people, you have got to become somebody you currently are not. And you got to continuously work on that every single day. Climb the mountain. And as Jason said, sometimes that mountain is you climbing yourself. You digging deep and understanding who you are, what works well, what doesn't, and making the necessary adjustments so that you're better today than you were yesterday, and that you're faithful and excited about where you're moving forward because you know you're only going to progress over time. Your emotion falls into place, family. Be the ace because action cures everything. I love y'all. I'm grateful for y'all. And y'all remain intentional throughout your process because it's very clear you guys understand what you're reading. Now you've got to develop the wisdom to implement that in your day to day more consistently and more purposefully in order to hit a new level. You do that, you'll do the things you need to do, keywords when you need to do them, and then you'll be able to actually do the things you want to do when you want to do them. Shout out to Mr. John C. Become, do, and you'll have. Love y'all. Go ahead, Mikhail.
What up, y'all? I hope that my phone stays right there. Did Justin get to go? It's actually a great question. Go ahead, take that beat. Yeah, I see the big ass semi right there. It's all good. I see it. Um, Go ahead. You got it, player.
Okay, I'm gonna be like really quick. Um, so oh, wait, I accidentally closed my phone. I took a lot of notes just for one chapter, but I listened to last two last night and right before I joined. So I'm gonna mainly talk about chapter six. I feel like that was the most like I don't know, not important, but the one that stuck out for me because I definitely spent more time on it and more attention to it. So I'm gonna just go like just start reading off the things and start explaining them. Like you make the iron hot by striking. That resonated with me because I realized that you're the constant variable in all of the things that you go through in life. So if you're the answer to your problems, if you're that variable, like I know some people know like y equals mx with b, they always have that one thing that's missing inside the equation in math class for algebra, where you have to figure out what that answer is. Like, what is x? What is b? What is the constant? If you can figure out the way to that answer, it's like don't ignore that. Like, take action and take responsibility for it. And that resonated with me. So I started writing down things that I could do or that I did. And I wrote down changing your environment to grow is important. I've changed my environment to grow a lot of times, and I've also went back to the old environment that wasn't serving me at times. So I understand like when they were saying that you can't go back, like that can really affect the person, and it's not good for long-term substantial growth because you'll short-term yourself, and you may think you know it all, but it's not done yet. The learning process is never over. Um, Being the head of your class equals the wrong class. That also goes into that. And this week I realized that some of the things I thought I knew, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know. And like this week, I was like down a lot in my account, and I realized that me thinking that I had it in certain ways was wrong. So instead of shifting my focus to like big goals at one time, I actually shifted down to one thing and I said, like let me put more attention in this one thing. And my biggest thing was, okay, I need to get 1% by the end of this week. I'm I'm planning to have 10 in the future, but I need a good start. My first goal is to have a good start. So I actually reached that goal and I had taken a lot of trades that I didn't want to take, but I wanted to see if it worked, the system worked. It didn't work for me, but dug myself out of it, figured out a way, and I learned. So I realized I needed more room to grow, like in that way, and it took more time, and the process took longer because I didn't apply myself earlier on, which is important. So I say that to say that having more room to grow, I think they talked about that as well, is also a big factor for people. Like not one shoe fits all, you know? There's different ways to get to the same outcome for your type of person. And that also goes into the systems that was being talked about. And I found in my systems too, like I kind of have this we not a weird way of like it's not like I shame myself, it's just I'm hard on myself for like good reasons, but sometimes I don't remember why I'm hard on myself. And for anybody out there that ever feels like they're just straightforward path, like they just think straight, they just think straight. Sometimes you really need to just take a moment and think about it, you know? And I feel like that's right there. Uh, I wrote down it's possible to change without growing, but impossible to grow without changing. And that's true. Just like Mateo said earlier, I actually wrote it down too. It was something about a flower being having a flower in sunlight versus having a flower in darkness. Where's it gonna grow? And it's obvious it's gonna grow in the sunlight. Uh, problems you go, wait, there's problems you can grow through, and they give you much room for growth. And also I related what Mateo was talking about when I put the one in the chat for you. It was like there's different times in life where things challenge you, but it's like you might be able to joke about it later on, and it kind of shows you there's two sides of the coin you can pick. The more like deep into it you get, and it's your choice to pick. But while you're vulnerable, like it's good, and while we have this book in front of us, it's good to actually recognize that you still have those choices. And me, like I almost got into a well, not almost. I actually did get into a car accident where I almost died. And it was funny because it was just like it was not my fault at all. But it was a drunk driver. He came out, he hit everybody, and then his car was rolling backwards. And I was just like, just trying to swerve through the lane, trying to go to that left lane, get out the way. And he just sideswiped me. And then I just like full 360 on the highway. It was funny because the idea of it was just like I never thought I'd ever go through something like that in my life. But it was literally the week right after I got my license, and I had good thoughts. So it shut me down for a little bit, but then I realized like either I could let that shut me down or I can continue to keep going. And it helped me. It helped me a lot, and I got in a better mindset, and it improved my faith. Access to current. Oh yeah, and there's different outlets as well for your environment that can affect you, such as the music, friends, thoughts, experiences, recreation, soul, like those things. When you align those things, you write it down. Kind of like how Marcos and Mikhail told me to write down stuff to be able to align my life the right way and prioritize it. Like when you also write those things down too, it would actually take you to another level. And I did that too before they came to me, but I realized like I'm on the right path. I'm in the right direction. So I would say that to say for people out there who are looking for direction and organization, that it's important to do that. Change your environment and like yourself as well, not just one or the other. Um, and I'm really grateful for book club as well too, because birds of a feather flock together, like he said, and we become what we are around. And I also learned, I feel like this is something really important. The bottom third, the middle third, and the top third, like those affect people on a day-to-day basis. Those types of things, they can either influence or, yeah, they just influence. And influence is important as a leader, and I'm trying to grow to become a better leader for those I need to be like, not I need to be, but for those that need someone like me in their life or like would like to have someone like me in their life. And anyway, like it's not just about me, it's just about about the fact that I want to do better for those around me, and I want to be not hypocritical while doing so. Just like how in the ninth, I think it was the ninth chapter, they spoke about that, and I've been really critical in that way. Changing the environment, back to that, is something important, like switching up your systems. I would kind of make myself eat the same meal every single day, like literally every single day, just to get where I needed to get physically. But I realized like maybe I need to switch it up. Like it was a time and a point where I was trying to get someone around me in shape. Like that's all you eat. You eat like a prisoner. And I'm just like, dang. I'm just like, dang, like I know I'm an influence, but I didn't know I influenced you to make you think that like being in shape and eating healthy can be like that boring. So I realized that like at some point I started falling off about it in certain ways too. I was like, I don't know if I could keep up with eating like a prisoner myself. So now I'm changing that up. Next up is how do you feel about being the middle person? Oh, I had questions. I had questions to ask you guys. Marcos, Mikkel, and Mateo, if you guys are down to answer it. So, because these are things that like I question sometimes when I feel like I don't have guidance myself. So I wrote down, how do you feel about the middle person, which is happy and will uh happy and willing, but it gets down to wait, but when it's in times of diversity, it depends, right? How do you feel about being the middle person? Wait, actually, let me reread that. It says, how do you feel about being the middle person when dealing with people that actively choose not to grow in certain ways? And like, say for example, especially if they grow in ways, if they help you actually grow in ways you value, but have like a little bit of toxicity that comes with that, you know? Like, how do you handle good growth that comes with a little bit of imperfection without, like, obviously, I keep in mind, not playing victim a lot, but you know, it's sometimes it's confusing. Sometimes you lose your thought process when dealing with those types of people, you
Yeah,
know?
you're speaking about the 33% thing, correct?
I think so. It said the bottom third, middle
Yeah,
third, and
yeah,
top
yeah.
third. Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool. I'll answer very quickly. If you cannot change the people around you, change the people around you. Meaning, I have a standard in my life, and if people don't operate with the standard, there's no judgment. I just move accordingly, right? So if I notice somebody is hesitant to grow or to change, then it's all good.
Hmm.
Oh, my guy has to go. All right, much love, bro. But in terms of like you gotta, bro, you gotta understand, especially when you deal with people like that, is the fact that like you have got to remain humble. So whenever you read chapter 9 and you accept the fact that we all have weaknesses, then you can know that you fall short from the standard as well, and you can operate with more patience. Um,
Mhm.
and it's because you recognize that people actually matter and that we're all imperfectly perfect. That makes sense. So if there's a willingness to grow, then cool, like continue to grow. But I also have a standard, and like I've had difficult conversations with everybody that I've worked with in a route that most people just avoid or ignore or rub or like actually broom under the carpet and the rug. Um, but I always stay true to that. Like, here's what you should do. Do you want me first? I asked, like, do you want me to just listen or do you want like some guidance and advice? Because I can do either. And if I listen, that's awesome. I'll listen to the problem and I can just be there for you. But the next time we discuss this conversation, we've got to come from a solution oriented focus. So that's how I remain patient by remaining humble and I hold a standard. I communicate that clearly And if their fruits show me that they ain't about it, then I'm gonna let them learn when the way that they want to learn, and we'll be smooth, and I'll catch it when I catch it type of vibe.
Gotcha.
Yep, but that's how I would do it.
Yeah, that was really it. That
But
was
I
it.
appreciate your take though, bro. I appreciate your take. It was a great inside look. Mikhail said he had to leave, so he's gonna send out a video. Hopefully, we'll see. But there he is. Boom. Let's get it,
You
people.
guys are you guys are killing me. No, I'm just playing. It's all good. I'm about to walk in here.
That's what you
I ain't
get
gonna
when you
lie.
assign 4 chapters for three.
No, I ain't gonna lie to you, baby. Pay attention. I'm ahead. No, ultimately, we just all got to work on being more concise with all of our notes. You know what I'm saying? That's ultimately what it is. But ultimately, I'm gonna be really quick and really simple. I had a few notes that I wanted to touch on and some things I screenshotted, but there was a lot touched on when it comes to these 4 chapters, and I think everybody did an amazing, amazing, amazing job. One, when it comes to talking about the environment that we've actually set here, but also two, just like I've had literal individual conversations with people over this past week about the extreme faith that Marcus talked about and how in difficult situations you ultimately just have to show up regardless and you have to laugh it off regardless. And I don't know, I just there was a whole lot of things in whole squad touched on. And because I feel rushed right now, I know that I'm babe, chill. Because I feel rushed right now, there is a whole lot I want to say, but it's like jumbled up in my brain. So I am actually going to throw a video in here in a moment when I let my brain kind of think. But ultimately, y'all, what I love about the entire system, whole the last 4 chapters that we read, truly, was that it really just outlined the fact that growth is intentional and your environment has to be intentional. You have to create it. And even though you can join a better environment, it doesn't mean shit if you don't show up, period. If you do not show up, if you do not plug in to your entirety at your best, you will not grow. You can have every piece of growth around you. You can still be involved in all the spaces, but it's very easy to change and not grow. But it's not easy to grow and not change. Period. You can feel that you're changing and not be growing because you're not actually spending intentional time and plugging into the intentional systems that not only you've set, but have also been set forth before you in a blueprint that has been laid out. I love what we do here because ultimately that's exactly what we've created as the system and the environment that he's talking about. And I'm grateful for it. Like Roshizi talked about when she listed off, like people are growing. I don't remember the exact notes right now. I had them screenshotted, but people are growing. I'm in an environment like all of the things that he had listed as I was reading it, I was like, dude, this is literally our book club. This is literally our entire space. When I think about TGF Network and the entire community of people that is whenever I see anything that we do, the people who show up, the environments that we have, the masterminds that we create, that right there is an intentional living. It's an intentional space of growth. It's creating an intentional environment. It's communicating intentionally. And like Marcus talked about with that guy who got together with a few people, but it's literally how this thing started. Literally what we did when it comes to the book club. We just started studying these people who are great at what they did so that we could honestly imitate exactly what they've done and recreate success because nothing is new under the sun at all. Period. There's a system to everything, and you just got to plug in and be intentional. And ultimately, as I've talked about things with, like, one of my guys was dealing with some things this week, and he's been all up in his head, like really deep. And I was like, yo, at the end of the day, bro, like when stuff happens, you've just got to laugh it off and ask yourself, man, like, I can't wait to see what God is about to do in my life and how this is about to work out and continue to focus forward, period, and affirm your future. And he was like, bro, how do you do that? Like, that stuff pisses me off. Like, I told him a specific story in my life. He was like, bro, that would literally piss me off. And I was like, see, you're frustrated with the journey instead of fascinated by it. So this book was literally like some of these chapters are what inspired my talk for this past week on what we were actually talking about and becoming that top level person, that top performer, that next level version of yourself. It literally just starts with you being intentional, understanding where you are, understanding in what areas you need to grow, but also understanding how to put yourself in arenas and environments where that growth is necessary and it's demanded of you, and then to show up when it's demanded of you, because it can be demanded and you can continuously not do it, and then eventually people will stop demanding, period. So in that, this moment right now, all you got, I love the little quote in there from Harvey Firestone Jr. He said, "Today is when everything that's going to happen from now on begins." It's not about the past. It's not about your future. It's literally about what's activating you right here, right now, period, point blank. And as you grow, don't forget that it literally, like your personal character, your personal development, and your business growth, they literally have to match. So the minute that you stop working on one, understand that eventually the other one is going to come to a plateau, period. If you continuously work, that's why I say like this space, it's so important, but it's so important not to just show up. It's so important to actually do the damn work. It's so important. It's so important, y'all, to like be intentional when you pull up to spaces like this, because it's not for us. Like, we're not doing it for y'all. We're literally doing it for ourselves, each and every one of us. This is one of the most selfish spaces that we all have in our lives, where we get on here and we literally talk about what we see in a book that we read, that literally has to do with our personal growth and our life. It's intentional. So show up to the space continuously. I will drop a longer video just breaking down some things that I wanted to break down in my screenshots as well. Damn, I think that'll be a challenge for myself today. We'll drop it on the gram, y'all. Look forward to the story. Tune in, okay? But in that, I'm grateful for y'all. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm about to get in here to this event. I got my wife sitting out here on a bench looking all pretty and shit. I love you guys. God bless. And we will talk next week. Marcus, you can go ahead and chop it up about chapters.
Boom. Yes, sir. Y'all have a good event. I appreciate everybody. Honestly, just being intentional. I threw that quote in there. That was at the end of chapter 9, right? He says, "You can improve. It's never too late. You can change who you are and your overall potential by becoming a better person." Y'all keep growing. Y'all keep striding in purpose, on purpose, with that intentionality. And you're going to constantly get better. And I'm grateful that we're in this space together as a family, because that's what it's about. That being said, we're going to go over chapters 10, 11, and 12 next week. That's chapters 10, 11, and 12. So only 3 chapters this week. Shout out everybody for coming prepared, though, because realistically, there's about 74 pages. It's about 11 pages a day for 7 days. Obviously, if you put it off, 70 is a lot, but you can get it done. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot on my plate, and I be getting my readings done in about 3 days' time sometimes if things are moving and grooving. But I make time to read every single day. So y'all prioritize y'all's development of self and y'all's growth so that you can make sure you read and be in motion. I'm proud of y'all. Honestly, preaching to the choir. But I appreciate y'all staying intentional and showing up. I hope you have a good rest of y'all Saturday. God bless. As always, we'll see you at the top. Bombs way too crowded. Peace. Much love, Ben.